So there is a concern out there nowadays that we're headed for some sort of Christian theocracy if the right gets their way. Here's the thing though, guys. I believe that's true to a certain degree, but at the same time, I think we need to start acknowledging we already live in a theocracy. And this theocracy I'm referring to is not a religious theocracy in the traditional sense. It is in fact a capitalist theocracy. It's a theocracy in that the religion is capitalism. And the media, the politicians, the economic institutions, everything that basically runs our daily lives outside of our own individual actions are part of that theocracy. They are part of the overall infrastructure. And they're put in place essentially to make certain that we abide by the laws of capitalism so they can continue to make more profit. Meanwhile, we have no say in the matter. All we have to do is try to make more profit ourselves to satiate the greed of other people that we have to do business with. And the cycle continues. It's a very coercive system. So we really have no control over our lives. We really don't. We have to go on and do whatever these institutions and their leaders tell us to do. That's not freedom. And that damn sure isn't democracy. Democracy and capitalism are literally like oil and water. So to say that democracy is American, or, I should say that capitalism is American, or being American is to be capitalist, or something like that, it's completely erroneous. Capitalism has no allegiance to a country, but yet our institutions and the people that make up those institutions try to make everything so that capitalism can never be questioned, which means their profits and therefore their power can never be questioned. And that's ultimately what it's all about. It's about profits and power, because profits and power brings more profit, brings more. You get it. It's a cycle. So, I think in order to really understand what we need to do, we first need to realize that we've been getting this all wrong. It's not we need more Democrats. It's not that we need to just let the Republicans do what they want. It's not that we need any of the political parties out there that we have. We simply need to address the whole system as being every individual piece of a bigger machine. And that machine is the theocratic capitalist order. So in order to get, in order to dismantle that, it has to start with the cogs of the machine breaking down. So in other words, we basically have to start operating differently as the cogs in that machine. We have to start moving in different ways, functioning in different ways to try to change the nature of the machine. Because, you can't just go out with guns in the street and try to change things. That doesn't end well. It never does. So these morons out there who think that people on the left like myself are their enemy, guess what? I'm not your enemy. You were taught to believe I'm your enemy by other people who didn't know what they were talking about. And on that cycle goes. Likewise, you get people on the left who say, yeah, well, those righties are the enemy too. They want to kill you with their guns and everything. And yeah, unfortunately, that's true. But they've been misled just like us. It's the divide and conquer strategy from the leaders of the capitalist order. That's how it's always worked. So what do we do? How do we stop this? Well, I'll tell you what. The answer isn't easy. And it certainly isn't going to be one single answer. Every human being that makes up a cog in this capitalist machine is different. Everyone has a different purpose. Everybody has a different motivation. Everybody has different preferences as to how they want to live their life. Everybody's born with different dispositions in their life. So there is no singular answer. What is true is that we have to somehow understand that, for one thing, neither socialism nor capitalism can exist without the other. Okay? That's the first thing to understand. Because they say, we're moving to socialism, we need more unregulated free market capitalism. Well, if we had total free market, we're pretty close already, but if we had total free market, we would be a lot more like Somalia. All right? There's already enough guns here for us to be like Somalia in, the militaristic sense. And it's getting to a point where the attitudes of certain people in this country are like, whoa, I kind of hope that we have guns and we're able to kill our enemies so that we can have what we want. Well, then you clearly are not ready for democracy, and you don't understand democracy if that's your thought. You clearly don't support democracy, because you say you do, right? And certain people, like the ones who support Trump, like Mike Lindell, is saying, we're going to get Trump reinstalled. We're going to right this right. He'll be our Lord and Emperor. I was chosen by God. I sound like a crackhead, don't I? Okay. I had to throw that in there. Mike Lindell is he is a bowl of mixed beans, man, I swear. But in any event, you get certain people out there who's just like, we need to kill these people. Like Rush Limbaugh once say, we need to eradicate the left. All right, whatever, dude. But this whole left-right thing, it actually started in France, after the Napoleonic era, right? During the French Revolution. It was like the ones who kind of represented the peasants were sitting on the left side of the parliament, or the chamber, whatever that was. I honestly don't know the answer to that one. But that's how it started, right? The people were sitting on the left. The nobles, the rich people, were sitting on the right side. That's how that whole left-right dynamic really started. But then anyway, you get like people who they say they want to, or they need to kill their political enemies. They want to get the guns. They want to use them, like that guy who asked Ben Shapiro, well, look, guys, you've fallen for the divide and conquer strategy harder and faster, more readily than anyone else. You are the biggest dupes of all. But admittedly, people like myself on the left, we've gotten it wrong too, okay, including me. The truth is, we already have everything we need to make this system work the way we need it to. It's about saving humanity at this point. It's not just about what's best for Americans, because what is best for Americans is also best for humanity in a micro and macro sense of the word. Okay? But we currently live in a system that says if you ever question capitalism, if you ever go against capitalism, we will make a public example of you. And case in point, what they did to Bernie in 2016 and in 2020. What did they do? They rigged it against him when he started speaking truth. If somebody, like, let's say, I don't know, AOC were to run for president. She's clearly showing signs that she's going to bend a little bit. Or even Ro Khanna. Ro Khanna is an even better example. He used to be a strong progressive. Now he's basically riding Biden's coattails, saying, Biden's the most electable. He's the one who'll win in 2024. We can't have any other options. Got to be Biden. Biden's the best. What happened? What happened, Ro? You've become essentially another gatekeeper in the capitalist order. This is what we mean. We got to understand what this system does. If you go inside that machine in Washington, you become corrupted. Or at the very least, to be kind about it, you become influenced by people around you. Like, yeah, they'll pat you on the head and say, I understand, I want the same thing you do. Let me help you to get there. And then they take you by the hand and lead you into a more right-wing direction. That's how that works. And unfortunately, when you try to run for public office in this country, that's all you can really hope for. You try to elect people with good intentions, the system gets a hold of them, it takes them over, and your vote, your campaigning for that politician was all for naught. So electoral politics isn't the answer here. But we live in a capitalist theocracy. We have to really start challenging the machine. We have to start going in a more left-wing direction, culturally speaking. We got to get away from this radical obsession with guns. We got to get away from this obsession with like trying to prove how big and macho we are by having the biggest AR-15 in town, or yeehaw, I'm going to the street, I'm gonna kill me some liberals, and I'm a big bad tough guy, I believe in God. No, that just shows you what a dupe you are, and you are the one who is actually the sheep if you do that shit, because you fell for the propaganda, you fell for the divide and conquer strategy of the capitalist order. Another example right there of how we are actually a capitalist theocracy. Understand, the people in power in the institutions, including our government, they never, ever, ever allow the questioning of the system. They never do it. And if they do hear you say it, they ridicule you, they try to make you feel crazy, and unfortunately, a lot of times it works. So, we do live in a Christian theocracy, not Christian, I'm very sorry. We live in a capitalist theocracy, It's time we understood that. It's time we challenged the gatekeepers, the clergy, to the capitalist order. Because we'll never be able to really move on, not just as Americans, but as a species, if we don't challenge and dismantle this capitalist machine and move to a better system that is beneficial for everybody and the planet.